Well, I think the word for the moment is ow. Cause it's 1:20 in the morning here, and I just fell in my bathroom. I'm wearing treacherous socks, which I should not be wearing, and I know these socks are treacherous. So they make hospital socks, for people with fall issues. And these ones have failed me before, so it's my own damn fault. But I notice sometimes, like, when the lighting's right, that you can see, like, bruises and stuff up and down my arms from my various falls and stuff. But, yeah, I figured that woke me up, so it'll be a minute before I can go to sleep. But, you have to take that bedtime piss. That's only logical. But, yeah. I don't know if anybody else in the building heard that. This is the thing is I never know how bad I'm hurt until the next day. But anyways, I tried to do a video reporting the news, and then more stuff happened, and I didn't really like the video that I did, merely because I felt like I did a poor job with the storytelling in it. So I'm going to try to amend that by making a superlative, masterful, just wonderful, edifying, beautiful piece of video magic right before your eyes. Okay. Now, there's no way I can live up to that, but here we go. I was thinking about, like, what happened on Monday, where I'm like, well, that's 4.5 months. I figured out that the first orthopedic appointment I set up to get something done about my knee, which just caused me to fall 10 minutes ago, was January 4th. Now, I had caught the flu on January 2nd and didn't even know where I was on January 4th, to the point where they're like, your ride's here, and I'm like, my ride for what? I had rescheduled my orthopedic appointment, but did not cancel my transportation. So I'm like, I can't go nowhere. So my actual first time I got in to see the orthopedist was January 25th. So you can say I've been working on trying to get my knee operated on, begging people to operate on my knee for 4.5 months before getting turned down flat after seeing 2 different orthopedic surgeons. I got turned down by Scarcella at Cleveland Clinic on Monday, which I took rather hard, and but I still had to work on getting the scooter thing, and so I can get out of here and not be a prisoner no more. And I was an outdoorsman growing up. I was a guy that spent very little time inside. Fishing, bike riding, walking. I walk miles. I would love walking in the snow. But now I gotta live like this, So just being able to get outside, and so working on working at the mobility scooter thing. So I'm like, well, I couldn't get the transportation arranged in time because I'm like I said in the other video, man, I went the first train smoking. So it is now the 24th. This was May 22nd at 4 o'clock at the last appointment of the day. And I was thinking, like, well, I don't really want to hate nobody else because I don't like hating people. Hate is a cancer. I don't like it. If I could find a way to get rid of all the hate in my heart, or if I could stop it from happening, that would be great. So I texted the boat guy. I didn't really know what to say to him, but I was like, well, I got an appointment at 4 o'clock. You working today? And he's like, yeah, get off at 4 o'clock. And I said, well, that's about when my appointment is. And I was like, I'll give you $20 if you give me a ride home. Now, granted, it's literally a third of a mile from my house to the doctor's office, and from the doctor's office to his house is like a half a mile. So I'm not asking for the moon, but it was kind of funny that I was like, okay, like, you know, not seeing. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, not with hate. It just makes you hate him more, you know. So that's what I've learned, at least in my experience. So you're like, okay. He's like, yeah, I'll just stop by there, like drive there from work. And I was like, okay. And it worked out pretty good as far as our timing wise. How the appointment went was I had to return a router that wasn't broken. So I just went ahead and I got these like pouches on the side of the walker. And the router actually fit in the pouch. So I had the router that I had to drop off at the UPS store in one pocket. And I had my Miller's packet, the scooter company, in the other pocket. The doctor comes in and he says, did they send you a packet or anything for me? And that's about as far as he got. And I handed him to the folder. And he was like, oh, okay. He's looking through the papers and he says, well, this is this and this is the prescription. And, you know, I had talked to the case type manager or whatever you want to call him from Miller's, and they were like, well, there's a way that your doctor can do this. You don't need a physical therapy appointment. And I've been calling his office trying to get a physical therapy appointment and getting no results, which was very weird. And I talked to, like I said in the other videos, I talked to Mercy Hospital, and they said, well, you know, when we get a call, we get the fax in with the from a doctor with the prescription. It's like we make the call to make an appointment, usually no later than an hour, because that's all our jobs are, is we're appointment coordinators. That's what we do. So, you know, I hadn't heard from him for like 9 days. I didn't know what the hang up was or what the deal was or what was going on with it. So I'm thinking like, well, maybe he knows more about this, and he's like, you know, this is all unnecessary. That's why the faxes weren't actually getting sent, because Mercy Hospital actually called me and told me the faxes aren't getting sent. So, but anyways, so I'm, you know, he's looking at the papers and he's like, well, looks like you're going to have to go to a physical therapist. I'm like, what? He says, yeah, they're going to do a bunch of tests on you. They're pretty thorough, you know, they like test your upper body strength, and they do a thorough evaluation of you physically. And I'm like, doctor, shake my hand. You know, I squeeze his hand. I said, shake my other hand. I squeeze his hand. And I said, if my upper body strength has anything to do with this, it's like they're not going to give me a scooter. They're going to say you can get around in a wheelchair, or they'll want to give me an electric wheelchair. And I'm explained, I said on our last conversation here, I explained there's a hill like this, and I'm not going in on a wheelchair, because in a wheelchair I'm going to get dumped on the street if something screws up if I'm going down a grade like that. But if I'm in a scooter, I got a brake, and I got also something I can just bang my face in rather than the street, you know. It's a lot better bumping your forehead on the dashboard of a car, or on the front part of the scooter steering wheel, than hitting it on the street, you know, getting road rash. Imagine getting road rash in a wheelchair. I mean, I've gotten a ticket on a bicycle. That's humiliating to know. So anyways, you know, he's like, well, you know, it's just got to be this way. And I'm like, look, we're scrapping the whole idea. I said, I'm just going to pay it out of my own pocket. It'll bankrupt me, but that's cool. I said, I'm not jumping through any of these hoops unless I can be sure to get in the scooter. I'm like, if it has anything to do with my upper body strength is probably at least average at this point. It used to be well above average, but it's probably just average for somebody my size at this point. And they'll be like, there's no reason why, you know, I said I'm not going to jump through these hoops and get an electric wheelchair. I said, not only that, the guy in the wheelchair next door to me told me that electric wheelchairs don't work over that bump that you have to go over. Like, there's a ramp going up to the porch, and there's a ramp that has to go into the house that they built. But there's a big, huge bump there, which I experienced my first wheelchair experience. And I had a hard time getting over it, with help. With the guy pushing me in, me helping him. And according to the Roy guy, he's like, his doctor's been after him for years to get an electric wheelchair. And they're like, what, you got to stop tearing up your hands, because I think whatever he's got affects his arms and his hands too. And he's like, they wouldn't work here anyway. So I mean, like, why would I want to spend you all those tax dollars on something that's not going to work for me anyway? I'm sure that you'd much rather have your tax dollars spent in an intelligent manner. You don't want people spending tax dollars on $500 hammers. For you older folks. So, at this point I'm freaking out, and I'm like, no, he's trying to talk me down. I'm like, no, I want to scrap the whole idea. I'm like, this is taking too long. It's going to take even longer. It's like, I need, I'm trapped indoors all the time. It's like, I'm telling you, I'm dependent on people that have substance issues and or emotional problems. I was like, I got a guy in the parking lot that lives less than a half a mile away from here that I'm paying $20. That's supposed to be my friend. So, that's my situation. I was like, he's like, it, and I showed him my legs, and I was like, look at how all these marks and stuff from my legs are from like falling down and stuff. I'm just housebound, and he's like, well, you got to do it, this way. And there's a whole big like dramatic scene there with me like saying no, 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 and him saying just be patient. He's like, I'm telling you, I can write up an order for him. You don't even have to have an appointment. You just tell him, give an idea what time you're going in there. You just bring in the order for them, and so they're ready for you. You don't even have to you can make an appointment. You can come home from this appointment if you get home early enough. You can get it going today, and you can go tomorrow. Like, I think he's missing the whole point about like, if I go to a physical therapy thing, I am not Mr. Atlas, but I got some upper body strength that, they'll be like, electric wheelchair for you. And so we went back and forth for a while, and then I agreed to like calm down and do it his way, because I was like, well, if the physical therapy thing doesn't go well, it's just another appointment. I can just scrap it then, and just like, or if I want to be like rotten, I can just get the electric wheelchair. Either that guy says he can't use it next door, or I can just sell it. But that's not cool. So he leaves the room. He's like, let me go fill out this paperwork and stuff. So what happened is like, he was looking through the stack of papers, and he just got stuck on the one where it was like physical therapy evaluation. He didn't look at the whole set of papers. So the dude comes back in there, and he's like, I can do this myself. You don't have to go to a physical therapist. And I'm like, well, thank God. And I said, and thank you, doctor. Just out of relief, But really, it was the end of the day. It was the last appointment. He looked pretty tired to me. And, but all that drama and stuff and histrionics and whatnot, at least histrionics for me, totally unnecessary if you just read the whole packet. You know, he just stopped at the one page about physical therapy and says, "Looks like I got to send you to a physical therapist." Which, I so it looks like I'm not gonna believe it until the scooter's in the house, but it looks like I'm good to go as far as the scooter. It's gonna be like a $3,000 machine, so it ought to be pretty good and pretty reliable. I'll be able to get outside and feel the sun on my face. I won't have to rely on people that I have issues with, and you know, I can get my own prescriptions and maybe go to the park, sit out in the sunshine, talk to people. You know, not be a prisoner anymore. You know, that will certainly help my stress. Less dependence on uh, diazepam, Valium. Um, just because it's incredibly stressful just to be trapped inside all the time. A lot of people would have cracked up a long time ago, but I'm kind of used to trauma, and I'm used to living with myself. Like, there's a lot of people that cannot stand to be alone with themselves and their own thoughts, and you know, their mind starts working on my mind will start working on me to a degree. About I start worrying about this or worrying about that, but it's worse for other people, I guess. So that's that part of the deal. So I come out of there and I've already had like one big drama, and now, like, you know, I piled extra stress upon myself because I got like genuine anger and hatred against this guy over this boat thing, and then I found out that the motor was ruined, and then um, there was this guy that was hanging around here that I mentioned his name before, and he was square dealing with me, and he owed me $25 because I had a $20 limit, and then $5 for cigarettes, and then the boat guy, he was living with the boat guy, and the boat guy just kicked him out. So, you know, he's like, I didn't get paid, so you owe me $25. So instead of like, I didn't want to, like, after that drama, I didn't want to like let loose on uh, the boat guy driving me home, and I'm sure I already mentioned he is my foster brother and all that other crap already. I'm slip of the tongue, you know, can't help that shit. And anyways, so I'm redirecting my anger. I'm like, you tell that motherfucker don't come around here, man, because I reserve the right as a cripple to sucker punch somebody, and I still have a heavy right hand. And I'm thinking, but I also got this, and I said, but I also got this rotator cuff thing, so it's gonna hurt both of us a lot if I do deck him. But I, you know, and I was all like hepped up and angry, and I didn't really confront him with, you know, the hatred and anger and all that bad feelings and stuff. But I did mention to him that my cop friend took apart the motor, and the motor on the boat is ruined, and it's he said, "Well, I stored that in the garage." And he said, I was like, "Well, you don't understand. Like, you gotta start it up or drain all the gasoline and oil out of it, or it just becomes like a varnish in there after like not being messed with for, I don't know, like years." And he said, like, kind of sarcastically, well, I guess he knows what he's talking about better than me. You know, I'm like, well, yeah, he's owned like two of those exact motors before, and he's like been on. He's like way more experienced than I, you know. Seriously, experienced. Like, he takes 15-foot boats out on Lake Erie, and Lake Erie is one of the most dangerous lakes in North America. When there's like 20-footers and 23-foot boats won't go out on there. You know, he's like, yeah. What I couldn't understand, like, is when we got the boat, is like that guy could have taught us so much, but due to pride, um, my foster brother was like, "We don't need him. We don't need him. We can just take care of it ourselves." And I'm like, "Why are you finally got to the bottom of why he was being like that, and he didn't want to look foolish, or he didn't want to seem like he didn't know what he was doing or look foolish. I don't forget how he phrased it in front of my cop buddy, and I'm like, well, of course, nobody knows how to do anything right the first time, you know, except for, like of course we're gonna look. That's why I didn't understand any of it. So he didn't get we didn't get any education on the boat as far as how to use it, as far as how to take care of it, even as far as how to pull the drain plug on it when you store it outside, which all that could have been prevented. So, that's the best I could do. I was like, I don't want to stir up this hornet nest. I've already had enough drama, but I will mention to the fact that he ruined my motor, by through neglect, and that it's going to cost at least $200 to get serviced, and that's that part of it. Now moving on. Okay. The next day, my aunt's called me twice since she's come home from the nursing home. One time, she called me. It was like a social thing. And I told her you can call me anytime you want to. But, I mean, this is the house that I'm supposed to be like, just like I'm done with or whatever. So, she calls me up. And she's like, you got any money I can borrow? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, $30. And I'm like, well, I said $20 limits, but that's when you were in the hospital and the nursing homes. So you weren't here for that, so I guess I can loan you $30. I said, I don't have the right denominations here, so we'll make it 40. You just pay me on the first of the month. And it's only a few days away. And we'll be cool. And the Ed guy is, I said his name. I think I already said it in the video anyway. But he's the guy that I got, I got crazy over, and because he was bringing what would you call him? A distributor. If you don't, if Drug Mule doesn't work for you, a guy that's not the guy that's he's an underling to a higher up on the food chain. Drug guy was out in front of the house, so he's the guy that brought him there. Apparently, they let him live back here. So, I was like, why'd you let that happen? And I was like, man, I could. He's like, I just said basically, he made some quip about him being like just like one of them stray dogs you can't keep away or something like that. So I might see that $25 again. Like that really matters all that much. I don't need the aggravation. So, my aunt can't drive, I guess, so she sent the other person that pissed me off from that same house that called me after midnight, like blew up my phone and like disrupted my sleep for like 3 weeks. And she says she's going to a psychiatrist and like trying to deal with her issues or whatever. But I'm just going to have to sit down and explain to everybody there, it's like, look, man, I got to take care of me. I got to get me straight. And how is it that you got 4 incomes in this household and I got one, and y'all be coming to me for money? And it's like, that don't make no damn sense. You need to figure that out. But yeah, I felt I relapsed on that. I don't know, I don't know if the aunt thing started it, but I relapsed on that. My aunt hadn't called me for a long time, but it's just a lot of damage. But it's like it's difficult, It's when you know people for years and years, it's like difficult just to like say just like it's just enough. It's just enough. So gonna have to take a different approach, I'm not really like, except for in that one case, I'm not like a "you're dead to me" type of person. You know, it's like, if I understand where they're coming from and their background and stuff like that, you know. And my aunt's very reliable when it comes to paying me back. So, you know, but it's just the idea. It's the idea that there's like four people in the house. They all got incomes, and I'm one person, and they're borrowing money off of me. Like, does that make any sense to you? And it's like, I don't need no aggravation. I don't need no, you know, heavy illegal drug nonsense uh, that they may or may not be involved in. Some people in the house, that is. And it's like, I don't need drama. I got plenty of drama. I just took the spill in the bathroom and hit real hard against the bathtub, so I don't even know what I'm going to feel like tomorrow. And yeah, I don't know. You know, those are difficult conversations to have with people. Where you're like, look, you know, here's the deal. Uh, but I don't know. You know, there's so much emotional damage there. And then I got that, like I said, I got that masochistic streak. But you know, she's like saying she needs it for food, but at the same time, I get those Meals on Wheels. And she's like, I was like, you could get like a waiver program. You're on the same. And she's like, oh, I hate those things. We still have like two of those in the freezer. It's like, okay, you need like, you ask me for $30, which ends up being $40 for food. But you know, how bad do you really need food if you won't eat something just because it doesn't taste too good? And they all grew up poor, like poor, like me. So man, you know, I shouldn't have relapsed on that. But I'm looking at my time signature here. That's about a half hour. And masterful, I would not call that masterful, but fairly succinct storytelling. And I did feel like a man, you dumbass. You had them people out of your lives, and you're letting them back in your life, and you know you're gonna have that uncomfortable moment where you got, you know, you feel like gathering them all together at the same time, and just saying, look, here's the deal. That's what I'm gonna have to do. When I get the scooter, I'll scoot over there one day. I'll limp my ass into the house if I can do the steps, and be like, look, there's four of y'all, and there's one of me. If anything, I should be borrowing money off of you. You know, I don't know what's going on in this household as far as money, but y'all got incomes of some kind, and you're borrowing money off of some old crippled guy on a freaking mobility scooter. Shame on you, you know. But that's the problem: is do they have that? I mean, I was trying to tell my aunt about that waiver program. She went right away to the skanky meals that are beneath them eating that nobody likes. Like you know, like my dad used to say, you get hungry enough, you'll eat. Yeah, and he knew about hunger, and I didn't know about hunger like he knew about hunger. But it's like I was trying to tell her about the waiver program thing because it's like you get other benefits that you're available for, not just the. I said talk to your case manager about it. You can actually have people come in and do light housework in your house if you can't manage it. I mean, the woman's, I don't know, in her late 70s and not in good health. And one of the people that are living with her is also in very bad health. And then, yeah, I don't know how. I don't know. It just there's something about that bothered me. It's like, okay, you need to borrow money for food, but you're saying that the food that I live on is shit. I don't know, man. You know how I am in endings, bad. So, uh, so the upshot of it is, I figured that like contact with the dude might like dispel some of the hatred because absence can make the heart grow fonder. But if you already dislike somebody, it can make you dislike them more. In my experience, if you're already brewing on some hatred, it's like I don't know if I can make up with my sister at this point. I don't even know how to even do that. But if you keep in contact with somebody, you know, and maybe there's some way you can work through it with words. I don't know. Um, but there was that part of it. The scooter thing supposedly is a success, but I won't believe it until I actually have the thing in my house. Um, the house that I'm supposed to be severed ties with, I let back in, and of course, what are they doing? They're calling me up, not socially, but asking me for money. And my dumb ass, I should have just said no. But uh, yeah. One thing I should add is like I told my doctor, you know, this might sound weird to somebody that's tortured me over this annex thing that I was actually afraid of, and that I called Dr. Wacky Pants, and that was screwed up yet again by not reading all the forms and put me through histrionics about like having to go to a physical therapy appointment and they're gonna make you lift weights and test your arms and do all, you know. I'm like, anyways, I told the guy, I said, you know, I can tell that you genuinely care about your patients. And I said, you know my medical history, and you know I've dealt with enough doctors that that should carry some weight with you. I didn't say that he was particularly competent. He cares. He just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing half the time. But he actually does care. He's actually, you can tell that he cares about his patients. Now, the thing with the benzo, excuse me, the thing with the benzo thing where he dropped me 50%, I'm pretty sure that was just out of ignorance. And in retrospect, I, I should have called him and be like, look, man, this 50% reduction thing is like, I'm really miserable. But, you know, that just seemed like a bad idea at the time because it would make me sound like, instead of just somebody physically dependent suffering through withdrawal, uh, you know, making the, even when I was cold turkey, I was like, I made 3 phone calls when I was cold turkey for over 48 to 50 hour stretch. You know, I made 3 phone calls saying like, you know, while I was really, really bad, you know, like, you know, cold turkey. So, um, so I, in retrospect, thinking about that, it's like maybe if I would have called the dude up and said, look, man, I need an, I could have got an appointment and went in there all screwed up. I don't know. And be like this is too much of a reduction for me to handle. The dude was obviously ignorant about benzodiazepines because he's like, Ashton who? You know, I said, do you ever hear of Heather Ashton? He's like, no. You know, so so maybe I played that all wrong and made myself suffer unnecessarily. I was just like, you get so sick from it and you get so terrified of making things worse that yeah, I was like, I was like, this is bad enough. I don't want, you know, I don't want to make the situation worse. I want to rock this sinking ship, you know. But anyways, so I think this one come out okay, and I told my story. and updated on it. And my depression's lingering, but uh, I don't know what I'm gonna feel like tomorrow after taking that tumble. But it woke me up. It's now 2 o'clock in the morning here in Ohio, and yeah, I don't know. You never know about things. It might even be like for the best that I'm not getting surgery on my knee. It just seems like that seemed like maybe a stupid thing for me to say, as hard as I've been working at wanting surgery and stuff like that, but you don't know how things are going to come out. That's the way I always think about things. It's like, I think about the day that we could have got caught in a tornado, and like, we just decided, like, well, let us wait till this rain stops, you know. And then the place we were going to got annihilated by a tornado. And it's like, you never know what decision could be disastrous. You know, maybe they would have done damage with the scalpel in there and made my knee worse. Lord knows, ever since that EMG test and ever since March 7th with the tubes in the knee's been more painful and worse. So, you know, maybe the blood clot will slowly get reabsorbed. I doubt it, you know. I gotta start walking and being more careful as far as my footwear. I got a pair of slippers that I bought special that I wasn't wearing. I start wearing them things around. They got like a seriously non-slip rubber soles on them. Stop this falling stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna have to stop even trying to attempt the summations or possible endings and just say goodbye. So this is the part where I say goodbye. Goodbye.